can't just look over here and see which number matches up with it. So I got to figure it out. I'm going to write this just like I used to write all my other stuff. I do the bracket. Where do you know what do you look at to know what goes in your bracket?
The question.
Piper?
The table.
You can look at the question and you can look at the table. If you look at this table, what are the two things that you're comparing?
Cups of water and cups of pancake mix.
Okay, I'm talking to Piper. What'd you say?
Cups of pancake mix to cups of water.
You're comparing cups of pancake mix to cups of water. I'm going to shorten it and just put pancake to water. Don't forget you got old and you got new. Now you're thinking like, what does all this have to do with it? Like I could probably just guess, because if I just keep going by ones and I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and if I just increase by 1.5 over here all day long, so 6 plus 1.5 gives me 7.5, plus 1.5 gives me 9, plus 1.5 gives me 10.5, plus 1.5 gives me 12. Like you could eventually get 15 cups of water, right? Like it asks for, you can eventually find 15 cups of water and see what the number is beside it. Yes? Okay. But what if I ask and said I had 200 cups of water? You don't want to sit there all day and make a chart that goes all the way to 200, right? I know I don't. So this is what you can do. You create your chart, pancakes to water, okay? Your new number, it comes from the question. If there are 15 cups of water. So how many cups? 15. Where does 15 go?
Water.
It goes in water. Does it go to the old or the new? New. It's your new number. It said if there are 15 cups of water. So it's a new number. We're going to put it there. Okay. The reason I told you to do that before you went back and found your old is because now that you know what you're trying to get to, you can use any of these as your old ratio. You can put in this 1 to 1.5. You can put in 2 to 3. You can put in 3 to 4.5. You can put in 4 to 6. You can put any of those in there. But look, if I would have chose 4 to 6 to put in there, and say I have a 6 written right here, 6 times what gives you 15? Okay. Yes, something, but it's a decimal. So you don't want to sit there and do all that work, right? So you're going to try to find something good for your old numbers that you can work with. So which one should we do?
4 to 3.
1 to 1.5.
2 to 3. 2 to 3.
2. You want to do 3 to 4 fifths? Okay, by all means, put 3 right here and 4 fifths right here. So 4 times 5 times what gives you? 4.5 times what gives you 15?
I want to do 2/3.
Yeah, that's not as easy. So that's why they keep saying 2/3. Because if they do 2/3, this looks very familiar to them. 3 times what gives you 15? Okay. What you do to the bottom. So if I do this one times 5, I've got to do this one times 5. 2 times 5 gives you?
10.
So if you have 15 cups of water, how many cups of pancake mix do you need?
10 cups.
10 cups of pancake mix. Okay? Now, if I said, how many cups of pancake mix will you need if there are 24 cups of water? What would you have done?
I would use the 4 6.
Okay, so you have 24 on bottom and you want it to equal to something. That's the same thing as your bracket. I'm just writing it this way. So instead of 15, you put 24. You could have chosen 2 to 3. You could have chosen 4 to 6. Watch, you get the same answer, I promise. Watch, if I do 2 to 3. 3 times what gives you 24?
8.
To do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. 2 times 8 gives you? How much?
16.
If I would have done that same thing, same exact thing, but instead of 2 to 3, I'm going to try 4 to 6. 6 times what gives you 24?
4.
Thank you, Ann. I'm glad you decided to go up to class. And so what I do to the bottom, 4 times 6 gives you?
24. 60.
Oh, yeah, that was wrong. 6 times 6 is not 24.
16. That's 36.
But y'all told me that 6 times 6 is 24. 6 times what is 24?
4. I said 4.
Oh. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. What you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. 4 times 4 gives you?
16.
Do you see how you got that same answer no matter which old ratio you used? Yes? You got the same answer? Okay, so you can choose any of those. So that was pretty easy. Okay. Or, like I said, if you wanted to keep doing your thing, you could have. Eventually, 12 plus 1.5 gives you 13.5, plus 1.5 gives you 15. So you could have finally gotten down to 15 cups of water gives you 10 cups of pancake mix if you wanted to keep going like that. But that's a big waste of time when you get to the big numbers, right? Click in. Some of y'all are awake. Wake up. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay, some people have this for homework, but if y'all get done fast, you won't have it for homework. Okay, so here we go. Basically, this is just giving you an example. So you got yards of fabric and number of pillows. So every 2 yards of fabric, you can make 3 pillows. So you're counting by what here?
2.
Y'all can look at y'all's paper and tell me though. What are you counting by? 2, 4, 6. Okay, so I'm counting by 2s. Okay, in that column, I'm counting by 2s. What am I counting by over here? 3, 6. Okay, so I'm counting by 2s in that column, 3s in that column. So it's a 2 to 3 ratio. All of these are equal to 2 over 3. When you reduce them, they can reduce to 2 over 3. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so tables. What are you doing each time?
Adding the first number to the first number.
Okay, so you're just adding 2 every time. So, additives. Tables are additives and not subtractives. No, they're additives. But also, if I were to cover this up, okay, and I just had 2 over 3, I could times 2 over 3 times 2. And if I did 2 times 2, it gives you?
Multiple.
I don't know.
Okay, answer my question. If I do 2 times 2, it gives me?
4.
If I did 3 times 2, it gives me?
6.
See that? 4 to 6. Okay. What if I did it times 4? So 2 times 4 gives you?
8.
3 times 4 gives you?
12.
8 to 12. Say you did that one times 2, that one times 3, and that one times 4. So they are additives, so you can add 2 each time, add 3 each time. Or they are? What's that word?
Multiplicative.
Multiplicatives.
Yes, I was right.
Multiplicatives. Okay. Now, knowing that, let's do these. They're pretty easy. A cookie recipe calls for 3 eggs for every 2 dozen cookies. So if you're trying to make 2 dozen cookies, you'll need 3 eggs. So I fill it in. 3 eggs. How many cookies? 2 dozen. And it has dozen in parentheses, so you are counting by the dozen. So 3 eggs, 2 dozen cookies. Can y'all quickly fill this chart out for me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so this one I count by 3s and this one I count by 2s. Do it quick. Some of y'all put your heads up. Put your head up. All right, let's count by 3s. What is it?
3, 6, 9, 12.
3, 6, 9, 12. What about the bottom?
4, 6, 8.
Okay, good. So, how many eggs will be needed for 60 dozen cookies? Do you see 60 dozen anywhere on here? No, all it goes to is 8. And do I want to do a table all the way to 60? No, I don't. Okay? So, but I can compare that if I'm trying to figure out what it is that goes all the way to 60. So if I kept going and kept going and kept going, I'm still comparing my eggs to my cookie dozen. I'm still comparing those things, right?
Yeah.
And eventually I want to get something over 60, right?
Yeah.
Eventually I want to get something over 60. And I need to figure out what's going to be on top. So I can compare it to any of these.
Let's do 9/6.
Why would you say that one, Kaylee?
Because you know it's easy to know that 6 can go into 60.
Okay, so she said, I'm going to choose this one because when I put 9/6, it's easy for me to get from 6 to 60. Smart thinking. So 6 is to 60 as 9 is to,
90.
yes, 6 is to 60 as 9 is to 90. So you just did 6 times 10 gives you 60. What you do to the bottom, got to do the top. 10 times 9 gives you. So, how many eggs will you need for 60 dozen cookies? 90 eggs. It's a whole lot of eggs, yes. I don't know why you're making 60 dozen cookies. Anyway, this next one, let's see who gets this one right. How many cookies can be made with 12 eggs?
8.
8.
No, it's 144. Right? Maybe, probably not.
If you have 12 eggs,
It's 8.
if you have 12 eggs,
It says
how many dozen cookies do you have? Okay, so then you have 8 dozen. So if you have 12 eggs, you have 8 dozen cookies. But it said how many cookies, not how many dozen cookies. So how many's in a dozen?
12.
Okay, so I had 8, but there are 12. Okay, so 8 times 12 gives you
96.
96 cookies.
I just multiplied the eggs. I told you.
Do we understand how you got that?
Yes.
Okay, I want everyone in here to do this one completely by yourself. It says a developer has $6 for every 21 apps downloaded. So 21 apps, I'll go ahead and start you off. You got 21 apps and he earned 6. So go ahead and create this chart. Did y'all finish the chart?
Almost. Yes.
So if you did your chart should look something like this. Okay, so you added 21 each time. 21 plus 21 gives you 42, plus 21 gives you 63, plus 21 gives you 84. Down here you added 6 each time. 6 plus 6 gives you 12, plus 6 gives you 18, plus 6 gives you 24. How many apps will need to be downloaded in order to earn $84? So earned $84. Do you see earned 84 anywhere? And no, you can't look up here and say, oh, that's 84. So 24 is the amount. No, because then you're switching the apps and the earned. Okay? So what you have to do is they have to earn $84. So you're going to make your chart just like it is right here. Eventually you want to know how many apps if the bottom number would be 84. So you do apps to earned. Okay? And eventually you want to get to 84. Is 84 going to go on top or bottom? Should be on bottom because that's earned. You want to know how much you need to earn $84. So 84 eventually will have what on top of it. So I could use any of these. I don't know which one would be easiest for you. I'm going to just use 21 over 6 because either way I probably would have to use a calculator to get to it. And so 6 times what gives you 84? Yes, you can use a calculator. That's why y'all got a calculator.
14.
All right, 14. What you do to the bottom? What's 21 times 14? You can use the calculator.
294.
So what's the answer? So how many apps will they have to download in order to make $84? 294 apps.
That's a lot. Only $84?
Okay? Yes. So this one is different. It says how much money will the developer earn when 105 apps are downloaded? So eventually when you get to 105 apps, so again, you need to do your apps and your earned so that you can know what eventually will be in there. And eventually it wants to get to 105 apps downloaded. So where does that go? Does that go with earned?
No.
Where does it go? With apps. So eventually it wants to get to 105. Okay? So this is what my other students did. If it was close enough that they could keep doing the chart, they would do it. So each time you increase by 21, what happens when you increase this one by 21? 105. So you only have to go one more time to get what goes underneath there. So when these are counting by 2, what's next after?
Teachers
Or
and students at this
count
time
by
need
6.
all cross-country runners to report to Mr. Reetz's room, dressed out and stay in the hall. That's cross-country runners dressed out in the hall by Mr. Reetz. Thank you.
Okay, you can do 21 to 6. Okay. Anyway, so 21 times what gives you 105? You could do that, or what you could do is figure out that the next one of these would have been 105. And so the next one of these, if you're counting by 6, would have been what?
30. Wait, no, 30.
If you're adding 6 each time, the next one would have been 30. So when you have 105, you would have gotten 30. So, or you could have done it this way with your calculator. And what is it? It's times 5. Times 5 gives you 30. So $30. Do you understand that?
Yes.
That if you would have kept going and you added 21 to this, you would have gotten 105. That's what it was asking. So what would you have done to the one below it? You would have added 6 to it. So for 105 apps, you get $30. Does anybody have any questions about that? Yes.
I'm a cross-country runner. What would you like me to do for
That and that. Okay, so for those who aren't cross country, let's finish. Okay, we got 6 minutes. Do this one by yourself. If you do this one for homework, I'll give you a ticket tomorrow. And it should be pretty easy. So go ahead and do this one. This is required homework. Do it right now. And then this one, you'll get a ticket for if you get it done by the time you get back in here.
So you don't have to do the other one?
You do have to do this one. This one is not required, but you get a ticket if you do it. And we got to do it tomorrow anyway, so you're going to have to write it eventually. What's the ratio of babies to nurseries?
5 to 2. 5 to 2.
How many nursery workers are required if there are 35 babies? So 5, 10, 15, 20.
25, 30, 35.
Okay, so you had to do 3 more. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so that's when they both stopped. So that's one way you could have done it. So the answer was quickly 14. Or you could have written babies to workers. And you got something to 35. You could literally use any of these. 5 to 2. 5 to 2, 5 to 2. So 5 to get to 35 is times 7. 2 times 7 gives you 14. So 14 babies. Okay, now this next one is hard. You're definitely going to need a calculator. Because it says if 7 nursery workers are available, then what's the maximum number of babies that they can accept? But then you only have 2, 4, 6, 8. So what if it was 7? It's like halfway in between those is 7. What's halfway in between those? Or you could work it out like this. Draw your whole thing. So you've got babies to workers. Babies to workers. It wants to know if you have 7, what's the maximum number of babies if you have 7 workers. So it wants this, and you can compare it to 5 to 2. Y'all are talking and I'm trying to help you. So how do you get from 2 to 7? 2 times what gives you 7?
Nothing. No.
Do it in your calculator. You can give me a decimal.
3.5.
Okay. So 3.5. What's 5 times 3.5? What?
17.5.
It's how much?
17.5.
Okay. So, are we supposed to just chop the baby in half?
No, it'd be 18.
Okay, hold on. 5 to 2. 7. What's 7 divided by 2?
3.5.
Okay, what's 5 times 3.5?
7.5.
Okay, so what's the most amount of babies you can do?
18.
Can we cut a baby in half?
No.
But you can't have a worker there, or you can't have a baby there for a worker that's not there. So you have to round down to 17.
Boys and girls who are interested in trying out for golf, please sign up in Miss Sparkman's room.
Please don't cut any babies in half. Do this for homework.